Hello everyone, greetings to one and all. In today's episode, we are going to see the next set of interesting 5 questions in our fifth episode of our questionnaire series. So just like the previous episodes, we'll be first looking at the questions and then discuss the answers in detail. Important recommend to use binary search in a read statement, significance of for all entries in select query and its prerequisites, maximum number of breakpoints that can be placed, what are the different types of breakpoints, and different ways to modify the standard table. So let's jump on to the answers. First, I'm going to explain the read statement significance through a program. The same program will be again used for explaining the for all entry significance. So let me directly jump on to the system demo. So this is the program that I'll be using for you. So let me first comment the code that is not significant for explaining the read statements. So and let me uncomment the code through which I'm going to explain the read statement. So yes, so this is the program that's ready for you. I'm inputting a material number. I'm trying to fetch the data from Mara table and then my read statements starts. Okay, let's understand. So before that, read statements exactly works on the principle of binary search algorithm. Whenever you use a binary search in it, the binary search algorithm is detailed explained in one of my another episode in a different series. I have pasted the link for the same in the description below. Please do watch it if you want to have a detailed understanding of the read and binary searches. So here I have fetched the data into Mara table. Now I'm reading the LT underscore Mara internal table and giving the same value that was chosen in the selection screen. I'm not using binary search here, so it will work well. Next, I'm sorting and then using it. It will also work well. Now, if you see the third query, I'm just sorting it with one table, but I'm sorting it with one field, but I'm using another field in the key field. This will work as well. Now, this is where it gets trickier. I'm sorting it with one field, and I'm using it with using the key field as another field, which is still fine. But just because I'm using binary search, the read statement will expect the sorting to happen on the same field that happens to be present in the key field, which is used in the read statement. Since there is a discrepancy, this read statement will not work. You see the size of RC value? Now, in the next read statement, I'm sorting it with MATNR field and I'm using the same field in my read statement key field and I have applied the binary search and this will work well. You see, it works. And the last thing, I'm sorting the internal table without giving any field and I'm still using binary search and using the same MATNR field in my key field. It will still work because the field that is used in the key field of the read statement is by default used in the sort statement because I'm sorting the internal table based upon all fields. So that fields also get sorted. And since MATNR being a key field, it will definitely be used in the sorting condition. And henceforth, my read statement here gets through successfully. Hope this would have explained you the significance or the important parameter for using a binary search in the read statement. So to summarize, sorting the internal table with the same field that is going to be used in the key field of the read statement is very important if you are using the binary search. So in the next example, I'm going to explain you the significance of using for all entries. So I am uncommenting the relevant code. Let me activate it. So this is the code. Let me place a breakpoint here. I'm executing it. Now I'm selecting a sales document. One second. Let me choose this particular code here. Here, let me add that selection screen here where VBLN is equal to P underscore VBLN. Okay, this is the selection screen element. Let me execute. I'm choosing this. I'm executing it. Now this particular sales document number is not present in the table. So if you see the size sub RC value, it is 4, which means that the fetch is not successful. Now the internal table that is used to fetch the entries from VBAK table is empty. Now I'm using this empty internal table in my next query where the query is upon VBAP, but the for all entries is used on this particular internal table which does not have any entries. When I execute, You see the entries in VBAP is 310. Why 310? Because none of them is anyway not significant to the entries, because the internal table of the select for all entries did not have any entry at all. So what happens is, when the for all entries table doesn't have any entry, it fetches the entire entries from the table that is the select query is applied upon. So that's the reason you are fetching 300 entries in VBAP table, because my LT underscore VBLN table, which was used for fetching entries from VBAK, did not work. So it is very important that you should not use a for all entries on a table without doing a primary checks. So the example what we just saw above is a bad example. Now I'm going to show you a good example for the above scenario. So if you see here, I'm writing a select statement upon this, and my size of RC value is 0, but before I apply on the second select query where the for all entries is used, I'm checking if the table has any values. Even if the table has any values, I'm not stopping there. I'm sorting the table based upon a key field which will be used in the where condition of the for all entries query. After sorting it, I'm deleting the adjacent duplicates from the same table, comparing the same field which is used in the sort, just to ensure I do not have duplicates in the internal table, which is unnecessary when the for all entries is used. Only after that, I'm using this for all entries on the table that I wish to fetch from using this for all entries keyword, and the query will be successful. In this case, I have given an input that does not have any entry. So the query, the second query will never get executed, and I'm just saving the system from fetching unexpected or unnecessary 310 entries. So in the next scenario, let me give an entry that is present in the table, or let me choose from the VBAC table here. Okay, so it is having 310 entries. Let me check all the entries, and I will choose a VBLN value from the list output. So the system is taking some time. So let's wait. Yes, we got the outputs of all the 310 entries from BBAP table. So in the meanwhile, let's check if I need to keep any breakpoint. Okay, not needed. So this is the table entries. Yeah, so I will choose this 10 as the sales document number. So I will feed this sales document number here. I'll execute. You see my first query will get executed now, and it will fetch any entries, one, but it is still not advisable because I am not performing any checks on my for all entry select query. Whereas my second query is a very good example. I'm first checking whether it is not initial, then I'm sorting it, deleting adjacent duplicates, and then fetching the entries. Now my for all entries has one entry, and my VBAP table on which the query was applied upon also has one entry. So this is one good way of coding. So we have also answered the second question. Now moving on to the third question, the same whatever I discussed before is here. The answer for the first question, binary search in read statement works on the binary search algorithm principle. Sorting the table with same fields that we use as key in read statement is a primary requirement for using binary search in the read statement. Significance of for all entries, check if the table and query has any entries. If it has entries, sort the table based upon the field that you're going to use in the where condition. And next, delete adjacent duplicates on the same field using which you sorted. Now moving on, maximum number of breakpoints that can be placed. It is 30. I'll show you the live example, and I will also see the next question. What are the different kinds of breakpoints? So the three different kinds of breakpoints are session, debugger, and external breakpoint. Now let's jump on to the hands-on part. So let us use the same program, or I cannot use the same program because I cannot place 30 breakpoints here. What I'm going to do here is I'll use another program where I'll start keeping the breakpoints, and let's see if I'm able to occupy more than 30 breakpoints. Let me continue keeping breakpoints for you so that I reach the expected quantity. This is just to show you the limit of placing a breakpoint. Okay. I have also discussed in detail about this breakpoint limitations in one of my previous episodes on my debugger series. Please go through that, wherein I have explained both these questions in detail, and you will have a very descriptive understanding about this. So let me keep placing the breakpoints. Okay. I'm trying to place breakpoints in all possible places. Okay, modify. Let me get into the standard function module and let me start keeping breakpoints here as well. So the objective is, I mean, the objective here is just to show that I cannot place more breakpoints. See here, you cannot set more than 30 breakpoints. You see this error message? I mean, warning message. So this was the message that was intended to show you. So 30 is the limit. Now let's get to the other part, showing you the different breakpoints that are available. Okay. Now let me execute this particular query. You see here, there are different queries here, right? I mean, there are different breakpoints here. Let me go to this breakpoints tab. You see in the drop down, there are three different breakpoints. One is a debugger breakpoint, session breakpoint, and external breakpoint. So session breakpoint is something that is very specific to the session. So until the session is open, until the session is active, the breakpoints will be active. So here, before I execute the program, I have placed these breakpoints. So hence, they are called as a session breakpoint. Now, what is a debugger breakpoint? If I place a breakpoint during my debugging session, like this, the modify screen, this will be called as a debugger breakpoint. Now let's go to the breakpoints tab. I will find out where I have placed the debugger breakpoint. See here, the source code 13, line number 13. Exactly. This is the line number 13 where I have placed this. So the breakpoint that I got placed here, that it got placed during the debugger session, it is called as a debugger breakpoint. Now if I save it, this debugger breakpoint gets transformed into a session breakpoint. Why? Because the debugger breakpoint will only be active or only be with the debugger's tool until I execute this transaction. I mean, until this debugger tool is alive. So once the debugger tool, I'm out of this debugger tool, the breakpoint also goes. Let me show that example to you. Now I'm placing a breakpoint here. Okay, I execute it. Sorry, I place a breakpoint here at line number 13. I'll go to the breakpoints tab. You see the debugger breakpoint. I'll execute it. It has to go through all the execution. Let me remove the breakpoints here so that our execution gets completed. Okay, I'll remove all these breakpoints. So it has got executed. Now I'll just come back and I'll execute this again. You will go to the debugger breakpoint. I mean, I'll go to the breakpoints tab. And if you see here, I do not have any breakpoint at line number 13. Correct? I do not have any breakpoint as debugger breakpoint. And similarly, I do not have any breakpoint here. So the breakpoint is only available during my debugger session in which I kept the breakpoint. The second thing is, if at all I want to convert this debugger breakpoint, I want to make it available, then all I have to do is I just have to save it. You see here, this is a debugger breakpoint. I save it, it gets converted into a session breakpoint. So it is available for me throughout the session until the session is active. Now coming back to the third breakpoint, it's pretty simple. Place the breakpoint here. There is one breakpoint called external breakpoint. Set this. This breakpoint is used whenever you have an external application that is going to debug your ABAP code. Now let's go to the breakpoints tab. You will have the last breakpoint as external breakpoint, which is placed on line number 56. If you go to the code at line number 56, you can see there is an external breakpoint. So these are the three types of breakpoints that we are dealing in our debugging process. Now moving on to the next question, different ways to modify standard table. Now the answer for this is pretty straightforward. There are two different ways. As you see, this is a standard table. You can click on the append structure, and in the append structure, you can either add fields by creating append structures, or you can also add include structures. So that's what I have mentioned here in my slide. One is an append structure through which you can add entries, another is a customizing includes. How we are adding fields in the append structure and customizing includes, I'll probably explain this in a separate video in a different series, and I'll append the same link here. So for most of the questions that we dealt here, I have dealt with each of those particular questions through a different episode. I will provide the respective links in the description. I hope this set of interesting 5 questions helped you in understanding the concepts clearly, and now you are clear with all the questions and the answers that we have discussed through. I hope your knowledge on ABAP just got enhanced. Thank you so much for your time. Peace and blessings.